Dang it. Dang it. Yeah, he died here or something. Dang it. That's the one I was hunting. Back when I was a kid, my dad actually brought me to a piece of public land, and back then we really didn't look at it like that. It was just a place you could hunt, you know. No one called it public or private or whatever. That really wasn't a big thing as far as just how we worded things. But I remembered that, and I actually had sent my nephew, because he was going to just look for some deer, and we ended up putting a trail camera in here because he found some sign, and the first and only buck we got on camera was a 2-year-old 8-point. So even though we didn't get anything mature or even past 2 years old on camera in this place, we decided we wanted to get cameras in there again. That buck, if he made it, he should be at least 3. You know, we'll put cameras in better spots and just kind of start feeling it out and see if we can find something. Lo and behold, we believe it was the exact same buck. This one was 3 years old. He looks pretty similar. We really didn't spend very many hunts on this guy. It was for Caden, and we never seen him. So it was, again, just another piece to the puzzle that didn't quite matter yet. We were hunting other bucks, other places, you know, obligations elsewhere. But when I was looking back to edit this up, I actually found these pictures of a buck, and this is definitely the buck that I end up hunting this year. This is definitely the first images we had, without even knowing it, of the public land 16. Well, here we are in bow season. Hadn't quite found a giant yet. The bucks that I was getting on camera were sporadic and in different properties for sure. Nowhere near this place. So we got in here, we set a trail camera. We seen a young buck. We ended up letting it walk, thinking, heck, we're going to get Jackson here, and maybe he'll get a little buck. It's kind of too far. It's too far.
That's right there.
We can't shoot that, Jackson's too far. Oh, well. Those does came in freaking right behind us. It looks like we're going to get out of here. These does won't shut the hell up. We don't want to booger this anymore. They've blown 50 times. They came in right behind us. 30 yards was a touch too far. Me and Jax shot at 20 and he was 10 ringing it. Shot at 30 and he couldn't get the concept of using the second line, so we didn't want to risk it. We're going to go home, lick our wounds, check this SD card from this trail camera, and hope we can have a better hunt in the next day or two, because that ain't what you want to happen. But we end up having some does come in, some bad luck. It basically just didn't happen. We pulled an SD card, we went back home, and then lo and behold, this buck shows up. I really looked over this buck. He looked mature. He looked 5, maybe 6 years old. Definitely big enough. I just kind of glanced him when we were first looking at him, still thinking about the Kraken, and then whenever I was able to get a better look at him, it was like, yeah, that's a pretty big buck. I need to check him out a little better. So me and Jack slipped back in this holler again. It's just me and him this time, and we're trying to get him any kind of deer. And in the back of my head, I've got this buck on my mind, because now I've looked at him, I'm starting to think, that's probably not a buck a 4-year-old needs to be shooting, that's a buck I need to be shooting. Alrighty, well, we're stuck up here against a log, nice and pretty uncomfortable, but I've got the camera camera set up pretty high, so my arms will have to be up to film, but hopefully we're able to get them inside of 20 this time. We've got 2 spots right here. I'm pretty confident we'll see deer. The wind feels right. There's a pretty nice buck that does come down in here. I've got him on camera a couple weeks ago. I just pulled the SD card, so we'll see if anything else is in here, but there's 2 fresh scrapes, and that's about the cleanest deer sign I've seen. And the dirt's on top of the leaves, and it just rained, so with any luck, maybe that big one will show up too, but hopefully a little guy first so Jax can tag a common buck and not, spoiled on the first one. But I may have to take it from him, we'll see. Not to swipe one out from underneath his feet, but there's a lot of does in here, so we may even double up. We canoed over here, so I think it's going to be a pretty cool hunt either way. We'll see if we can manage. We forgot the shooting stick, so I had to make one instead of some brush I found on the walk up. Luckily, there's a lot of dead limbs in here, so we'll see. I feel like it's going to be a good hunt. We just need some serious luck so that he can get a clean shot before they see us. It'll be tough here on this hillside. You just gotta make sure you're not moving your face. Yeah, they go sleep up in the trees at night. So far, that was just one. Very top of that hill. Down to the last 5 minutes. We haven't seen a single deer yet. Seen a couple, I'm guessing toms, roosted up there. Look like just 2 of them. Usually that means they're toms, but not a guarantee. I don't know where the deer are. Usually we see some. Haven't heard any, haven't spooked any, nothing. Been a lot of coyotes, which is pretty strange. Hopefully that doesn't mean somebody else killed a big one around here and gutted it or didn't find it or something, but we're about done with the evening, so if something don't come in the next couple minutes, we're out of here. Hopefully we can get back out of here in a couple days, get him something figured out. I think I've got one other spot where the deer are pretty regular, so we'll see if we can figure something out. But not looking too promising for tonight. We get back home, we're going over the SD card. We have small bucks, we have does, we have night, we have daylight, we have looks like a 3-year-old 10-pointer, and then boom, there he is, the big one. Start to count him up. He's a mainframe 12, split brow, couple kickers, comes up to 16 points. For me, this is a giant. He's a monster for public or private around here. This thing is an absolute stud. All I can think now is how can I figure him out? I start putting together the times, I start putting together his directions. I draw out a little map on paper and just start, every time I get trail cam pictures and videos, I'm just adding them up. I'm trying to figure out where he's coming from, where he's going, what times. Is he getting closer to daylight? Is he going to daylight? Well, it's looking like I need to do some hiking at this point. So I start racking my brain. Where can I go? What can I do? How far away am I from this buck? Is he being hunted by other people? What's going to happen, basically? In the mix of being excited for this buck, the 8-point shows up too. So he's on the same camera pool, same scrapes. He's in the same holler he has been, I believe, for 2 years now, if he is the same buck from 2022. This is a buck that is also now potentially on the list. He's not as big. I would shoot this buck. If he was the only big buck, he would be my #1 target in that property. So now I'm ecstatic. I found a giant buck. He's on public land. He's a mainframe 12. He's already just an absolute badass animal. For me, this is what I want. This is where I'm going to spend all of my time if I can. So I get to this cove, I pack in, I set up. It's already kind of cracking light. I don't want to go very deep yet because I don't know this place. I'm just getting a feel for it. And it doesn't look good when it gets daylight. I'm not seeing the sign, I'm not seeing fresh rubs, I'm not seeing trails, and just anything that really screams that there's a lot of deer in this spot. It's November 4th, about 64, 65 degrees. We are trying something new. We found a big buck on public. Problem is, he's everywhere but daylight. So I've done some mapping, tried to figure out where he might be hanging out. There's a chance he's hanging out pretty close to the recreational areas, and you have to hunt 300 yards from a recreational area, so I'm probably 1,000 yards from the recreational area, but I found a cove. I've never been in here. There's like no human sign. There's a rub right here, a few tracks down at the bottom, but I just got it set up like 10 minutes ago, so I'm about 30 minutes late. I didn't hear anything for sure spook off, but it's pretty windy, and it's swirling, so this is more of an observation sit so I can get in here, find some scrapes, put some cameras up, and hopefully hone in on where this buck might be daylighting or gonna daylight soon. There's not enough does daylighting where I got him on camera, so we may be doing some work today, but we paddled about a mile across the lake, just trying something new. I feel like it's going to be a good one, but you never know. There's not a whole lot of deer sign, but there is deer sign. And I just feel like being so far from anything, maybe this is where a big old public buck might be held up. It's been a while since one got me going like this, so we'll see if we can luck into him or at least get an idea. Hopefully we'll see some deer this morning. Probably give it about 3 hours. If we don't see anything, we're going to start scouting, get some cameras out. I'll switch gears, leave the cameras for about 3-4 days. I've got a big 10-point on a piece of private. I think it's 16 acres if I remember right, but he's daylighted, he's nighttime, he's in my food plot, he's everything. Probably high 150s, 160s, somewhere in there, just a big, gorgeous 10-pointer. But buck I'm hunting here, I need to come up with a name because it's hard to describe him. He's a mainframe 12, kickers all over as far as the bases go. He's got split brow tines, I do believe. Just a big stud public. He's at least 4.5, probably 5 or 6, to be honest with you. He's pretty big. But there's a huge 8-point in here too. Truthfully, I don't want to shoot that 8-point unless he comes in and I just can't resist. But that big one's the one I'm after. He's up there. He's got to be 160s, 170s. So, rather than talk your ear off, let's get some hunting done. So very shortly into the hunt, the storm rolls in. Was not a part of anything I looked up, so I've got to move. I can't be rowing across. I can't have this bow in my hand, the oar in my hand, if there's going to be any kind of storm. I've got to get across the lake back to my vehicle. Well, 8:33 in the morning and I had to get out of the stand. It started raining pretty good. Bad enough I was worried about my cameras. So I hustled out of the tree. I mean, it don't look good, but it was 2% last night when I went to bed. It was 20% this morning, and it was supposed to say 20% all day, but it didn't. Out of nowhere, next thing you know, hard rain. So, my goal was to to set some trail cameras. So I'm just gonna go freshen up this scrape, do a little scouting, see if I can get any set before this rain gets here. But it's coming, and it's coming in a hurry. So I don't want to be out canoeing with a metal oar when these storms roll up. I should have just left, truthfully, but it's too much driving, too much planning to not try to get something done. If I'm not going to be able to hunt him this morning, I've got to do some scouting. So, alright, I'm going to get back here and I'll get back with you at the first scrape. Just got down here, there's dirt all over. That deep scrape is new. Look how mad he was. I bet that was him. That's deep. It's either him or the big 8. Let's go freshen this scrape up. Doesn't look to be worked. Not much anyways. It's starting to rain. I don't think we're going to beat it. We're probably just going to have to deal with it. Hopefully don't ruin my camera. Now this one with the big one. Yeah, this is definitely where these bugs travel. Big scrapes right there. They're always on trail camera hitting those scrapes. There's a little scrape. These hillsides are crazy. That's what the deer like, so. As much as I can, I'm getting myself out, I'm getting in the woods, I'm putting in the work. I find myself canoeing again, an even longer canoe around the lake, trying to find my way into this buck's life some way, shape, or form. And basically I paddle somewhere around a mile in the dark, and it was pretty sketchy. But 7:36. It's about 20-30 minutes after light. I started paddling probably an hour before light, which is heavy overcast, so it was super dark, and I try not to use a light if I don't have to. There really wasn't much wind till I got out on big water. And yeah, it's a little sketchy out there alone, middle of the night. But paddled over here. A little bit more of a paddle than I thought it would be. It was probably a mile around the lake, a couple coves over. But these coves are pretty big, so there's only one of them where I went straight across. And it was pretty rough water, so not a big fan of doing that in the dark, but you do what you gotta do chasing these big bucks. It's November 7th. I've been hunting a pretty good sized public land buck. For me anyways. He may not be a giant for others, but he's a giant for me. He's gorgeous, and yeah, I sent some cameras in the holler. I've been getting pictures of him, but he's just 2 a.m., 5 a.m., 9:07 I think was the closest to actual light. And a lot of it just kind of suggests he's coming from this direction. I could be wrong, but we're going to see how this goes. It's the first time I've ever even stepped foot in these woods. I've hunted pretty close to both sides of this, but never right here. There's basically 3 hollers that meet right here, and they're very big ridges. So my wind feels to be going behind me, so hopefully no deer are coming from that way. I think they're coming from up this ridge and up that ridge. So, I mean, right now there could be deer in that bottom, could be deer in this bottom. We don't know, but first time bringing the rattling antlers, we're going to try that. See if we can convince a buck he wants to come down this way. There's a couple other bucks in here, but there's only one I want, so we'll see if I can luck into him. I will say that's about the fishiest holler I've ever paddled up. There was all kinds, I'm guessing carp, but there was all kinds of fish. I was spooking fish that were coming up underneath my canoe. I kept bottoming out because it was really shallow, and a lot of that, it'd be a great duck hunting area. But as far as just getting here, it was pretty sketchy. I didn't think I was going to flip the canoe, but I'm still not a fan. Squirrels are starting to come alive. A lot of white oaks and red oaks in here, which is like, it's what you want to see, but they're starting to drift off of the white oaks onto the red, and even the reds are starting to fade out now, so it's not really about the food. I was kind of hoping I'd find some does, because they kind of left the holler I was in, and I think that's what's drawing the bucks, so finding the does might be where it's at. But I'm gonna do some rattling, see if I can call some up here. Some up here. Alrighty, let's see if we can talk something into hanging out with us. as is with everywhere I go, there are squirrels all over this place. Good to have for a video filler, but they get annoying. Haven't seen any deer. It's almost 9 o'clock. Not sure if we even will, but it's a pretty sweet spot, really. Looks like it anyways. A lot of acorns up in here. That would be a crane. I have heard cranes. I've heard an eagle all morning. I think it's just across the cove from me up there on that other ridge. Just probably overlooking, but this place has wildlife. The wind's a bit swirly, but everywhere has been the last year or two. It's hard to get consistent wind, but hopefully these winds don't pick up, because I do have to canoe back. It was not fun the first time, so I don't imagine it's going to be fun this time either. I'm going to do a little scouting when I'm done. If I don't see anything, I'll be pretty bummed, but I want to scout up in this holler, scout in that holler. And if I'm not seeing definitive buck sign, then I'm going in the wrong direction. And it's had me scratching my head. I don't know what to do with this deer. A lot of random times, but they're all dark, so I've got to do something. It's hard with schedules and just having to paddle all the way around to try to find different coves that this buck might be in. So far, we have one cove where we know he at least goes, but we don't know where he's coming from, so still working on it. Not seeing any rubs in here at all. No scrapes are visible. There was some deer tracks back here in the leaves that you could tell. But I mean, it could be anything. They could have been rutting here yesterday. They could have been feeding here. Could be just little bucks. Could be just little does. Could be the big one. We don't know, but there's just no definitive big buck sign in here. So we'll definitely be checking these bottoms and hoping to get a better direction as to where he's coming from, but I'm starting to get blind, so I'm going to turn this camera off. I've only got about another hour anyways, but not seeing anything. Nothing's going on. It's just lots of squirrels, lots of woodpeckers, plenty of birds. It looks like it'd be a good spot, 2 weeks ago with all these white oaks, but I don't know. Deer hunting's been kicking my butt as far as trying to figure out where this deer is. This will be the second time I've paddled to a new spot, over a mile. Nothing. Just not finding these deer. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know where they're staying. If they're traveling further than I thought, I don't know. That's not good, so I'm gonna do some scouting when I'm done. And hopefully eliminate a reason to come all the way back over here, because it's a long paddle if there ain't no bucks. Right now there's really not any deer. I thought I smelled one about 15 minutes ago, but nothing. I ain't seen nothing. Looks like a cool spot, but if they're not here, they're not here. What are you gonna do? You gotta hunt the fresh sign. You gotta find the fresh sign to hunt it. I hope this wind doesn't get any worse either. It's been pretty gusty, but luckily it's flip-flopping, so I don't think it'll be consistent enough to make the lake very rompy. I just hope not anyways. If nothing happens, like I said, I'm going to set some cameras if I find some locations too, but it's not looking real good for this sit, sadly. seen a single deer. There's really not much sign off this point. I think I'm going to bail here in about 10 minutes. I think I'm just wasting my time. Too much wind coming in. I cannot catch a break. The amount of work I'm doing for deer I'm not seeing. So after the morning was a complete bust, I decided that evening I would switch back to the original scrape so I could check the camera and do a sit on that particular piece of public, hoping maybe something would come through or that particular buck. Been set up for about 5 minutes. When I was first getting in here trying to decide a tree, I took a cotton ball and ripped it up, put on some limbs and sprayed some special golden estrus, trying to create a perimeter so if there's a bad wind or swirling winds, they'll at least smell that and maybe just come through. And on the second one, something down the holler let out an unreal grunt. I mean, it sounded close. I didn't see anything, so I got to the side, out of the way. I got my climber, so of course that's kind of noisy, and I tried to do that as quiet as possible. Managed to get set up, and as soon as I did, I just heard another grunt, and the squirrels went crazy, so I'm gonna quit talking. I was just wanting to get this out of the way in case something happened, but something's back there. I'm pretty sure it's a buck. I just don't know if it's a big one or not. We'll see. It's been about 15 or 20 minutes. I've not seen or heard anything come out of there. I don't know if I'm just hearing stuff or what, but I swear I heard a grunt twice. Past that, I don't know. Here in about 30 minutes, I think I'm gonna rattle. Just to try to, see if anything's aggressive up in there. There's a lot of bucks in here, and it doesn't seem like near as many does, so if we're lucky, maybe the big one likes to run this place. Maybe have 5 minutes left. Got one more trail camera to grab. It's about 50 yards over. Just gonna swap the SD card and I'll grab it. Probably climb down here in 5 or 10 minutes. Check that, get out of here. I got a canoe back across the lake again. Now I gotta be. That's better. It's not looking real promising for tonight. Whatever the trail cameras tell us is kind of what we're gonna do. I'll probably end up back at my cousin's in the morning. A lot of that's gonna depend on tonight's trail camera pulls. Running out of light quick though. I get back home after another dry sit, check the camera, and sure enough, there he is again. We also had a new buck show up, a nice 3-year-old 10-pointer that Tiffany found the shed to probably over a mile away this previous spring. So the last trail cam video I get of this buck, he's actually working the scrape. It's daylight savings, so my camera's actually off an hour, but he was there at 6:30 in the morning, about 35-40 minutes before daylight, and literally at that exact same time I was looking at my phone about to put my canoe in the water and paddle across to this other cove that was in the opposite direction of where that buck was. So we had some bad weather. Basically I couldn't get out for a day or so, and when I was able to get out, I decided I'm going to get on another piece that I think is in the direction where that buck was going on November 7th. So I went over a holler or two, and I tried this spot out. It was a bottom flat, and it looked good. There was a lot of sign, but there was human sign in there too. It's 3:15 p.m., November 10th. Been chasing after this really big public land buck, and I've just been moving around, checking new hollers, trying to figure out where he's moving the most. I see rubs all through this bottom, tons of scrapes. Not all of them are very open right now, but there's a lot of trails right here. I found a good spot, set a camera on a big fresh scrape that hadn't been worked since the rain yesterday, so they should be due to come through. But as soon as I set the camera, I realized there was a blind like 100 yards or more. It didn't look to be active, and it didn't have like the orange top that I think you're supposed to have on public. I don't know, I've never used a pop-up blind on public, I don't believe. Not to my knowledge anyways. But this place, I can see a long ways. Right now my wind is wrong. But that last hour, it's definitely going to be going that way. It always does. So, with any luck, me sweating my butt off trying to get up here ain't going to be a problem. I'm going to be standing on these kind of little sectional ladders. But I figured, heck with it. I didn't want to carry a stand and all the extra stuff. So I'll just stand on this and use my lineman's rope. I believe, especially if they come to my left, I've set it up to be able to shoot a lot of this. There's a lot of trails crossing. There's water right here. A lot of sign that suggests they're here. I was trying to think that this buck maybe was working these hollers up here to my right, and I've been bouncing around and was about to check these, but I think he's crossing the road from a different piece of public. Hopefully tonight we can figure that out. We'll see. This is a beautiful place. If it ain't too uncomfortable on my feet. That's good news. He's out there about 70 now, just working his way down through this bottom. I heard what I thought was a squirrel. He came off this steep hill without making any noise, and he ended up at like 25, 30 yards right behind me. I just glanced over my shoulder and there was a deer. That's crazy. Sneaky little bugger. Little button bug. I know somewhere up here on this hill is a big one, somewhere. Or maybe going across here. But I get them in the next holler over on camera. All kinds of hours. 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 5 a.m., 6:30 a.m., 9:07 p.m. All kinds of weird times. Now we just need a big one to do that, because I could have shot him a lot. There was plenty of times behind me, plenty of times right here, about 30, 35, 40. Yeah, we need a big one. It's good news though, because I've been getting skunked a lot coming around here. Feels good to actually be in a holler that has deer. Now we just gotta hope it has the right deer. I don't even see him anymore. Just distanced himself from me. Well, probably got about 40 minutes left to light. After another buckless sit, I decided I'm going to spend a little bit more time trying to get Jax or Tiffany tagged out for a couple days, and then I'll come back to this. Feels pretty good to be back in the stand. Spent the last couple days trying to get Jax or Tiffany tagged out. This is my first morning in this cove this year, I believe. I don't think I've ever hunted this deep in November here, but I'm starting to get bucks on trail camera daylighting starting November 5th. Big bucks anyways. Nice Big 10 showed up. He's young, but he's huge, so I'd definitely be happy with him. And then the big one I'm after, which that's why we name bucks for the idiots who complain about people naming bucks. It's because if you have more than one buck you're hunting, you're using trail cameras. Well, rather than saying, oh, it's that big one with this, or it's that one with this, it's easier to give them a name so whoever you're talking to can start to relate to what you're saying. Don't know why that's hard for people to understand, but apparently that makes you less manly to name your deer. But those are the people that kill a 2-year-old 8 points every year, so we don't want to hear it from you people. The deer typically show up a little later in the morning here, so if the wind is doing alright, it's kind of swirly, but it should be. Thermal's going up. If we're lucky, something will come in today. But the unnamed giant with like 16 points, that's the one I'm after. So we'll see. I've got a couple trail cameras to check on my way out, and I've got 2 more that are too high on the hill. I'm just not climbing today. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I had to paddle across the lake again. And I don't use lights or anything, but this beaver, there was 2 of them, but this thing was pissed. Smacking his tail next to me all the way across. Even after I'd got out of the canoe and was like 50 yards into the woods, still smacking his tail nonstop. He probably did it for 10 minutes after I left the lake. Very aggressive beaver, I don't like that. And we live, in case y'all didn't know, on Lake Monroe. Since it used to be a normal waterway, Salt Creek, they dammed it. By they, I mean Army Corps of Engineers. So now the Army owns all that land that they dammed into a lake. But the Army owns that. Therefore, you can hunt it. You can rifle hunt it. Well, what rifles are legal on public anyways, like handgun cartridges. But you can bow hunt it, gun hunt it, but you can't have a handgun. So, in case I get attacked by a beaver, it's your guys' fault, of all things, to think I'm gonna get attacked by. It's the idiots that won't let you protect yourself with a handgun on one of the biggest man-made lakes. By man-made, we mean they dammed a big valley up, destroyed all that habitat, and turned it to a fishery that's not that good. And it's a stage 3, for those of you who don't know. Stage 3 means pregnant ladies do not swim. You could get birth defects in your babies. But they don't like to tell you that because all the revenue they collect per year, annually, millions, maybe even in the billions. Alright, I'm done talking to y'all. You guys suck. You never talk back. It's cold. It's 9:30. 2.5 hours of daylight. Not one single deer on any of these ridges. I think I seen a coyote, but I'm not 100% that it was a coyote, not a fox. But it wasn't a deer, so I don't know what's going on. None of these scrapes look clean. Not even the one in front of the camera. It's getting irritating. I've been grinding it out. I've been paddling. I've been checking new coves. I've hunted new coves. Mapped and mapped and mapped. I don't know where these deer are. They were here a month and a half ago. Now all the does even seem to be gone. I've barely even been in here. I think this is like sit number 4 or 5 in a month and a half. And 2 of those was with jacks, so I don't know. Been skunked the last 2 or 3 times we've been in this area. It's not looking good. It's just getting really irritating. I just feel like I'm wasting time. Just sitting around not seeing deer. Another morning wasted. Evening, sit around, not see deer. Another evening wasted. I'm not even able to eliminate anything, because I'm not finding anything. Except for I eliminated a couple hollers that way. And then on the other side of this big ridge, I eliminated 2 of those hollers. So he's either coming from across the road or way down this valley. And they're just not in here. Which blows. So there's just nothing happening. About to switch gears and say fuck this deer. I'm kinda sick of fucking with him. He's been nocturnal in every single video. Be pulling this card. Swapping that camera. I've got 2 other cameras on the hill, but I'm not climbing. I don't know. The only thing I could think is check these cameras, and if he was here, he's here. If not, I don't know. I have to make a game plan if he's still sticking around for where I need to be, but I've been trying. It's not like I've got my thumb up my ass. Like I'm looking hard and I'm just not finding anything. Every hypothesis comes back empty. Every idea is just failure. Dry sit after dry sit after dry sit after dry sit. It gets exhausting. Public land ain't what it used to be, especially in these parts. It's just really gone downhill. There's a guy hunting, or at least I found his blind, on the edge of the public, up and over this hill. And it's in a terrible location. Sticks out like a sore thumb. I didn't even notice the blind until I was about 100 yards from it, and I was like, okay. But the windows were up, so I scouted on through. There's some sign there, but again, it's probably nocturnal because they're sitting in a position that the wind can't be right. And yeah, you would think that would help me, but it's not, so we're both in the wrong spot. Well, I got about 20 or 30 more minutes. And we'll give up on this morning. We got rain coming midday. It's just not looking good. This season's been just about as tough as last season. We're getting a lot more bucks on camera. A lot more bigger bucks, but the ones I'm after are not about it. But I guess that's why they got big, isn't it? Well, after having another dry sit, seeing no deer, I drive home, and on the way home, just a few hollers down the road from where I was at, still on public, a pretty good sized buck, but not one of the ones that I'm after cross the road. So then I got to thinking, all right, maybe I'm in the wrong spot. Maybe they've shifted to some different hot does. So I decided that evening I was going to switch up, try this new spot. I dropped down in this big holler, found a cell cam right off the bat, so I avoided that. Went up in a different direction, found some real fresh scrapes, and then within pretty much no time, it was raining, and I had to bail out. November 14th, 3:16 p.m. I think I'm here right on time. Decided to try a new holler. This one's a little tighter than I've been hunting, but it has flowing water. It's been raining, so I mean it might be from that, but it's flowing right now, so. It's been raining all day, all night. It's about 20% that it could still be raining today, like right now, but it didn't look like it's coming down, so I've always had luck on days like this. I think it's because the bucks get out and refresh in their scrapes, but for now, I've got 2 scrapes I just found. I'm probably half mile to a mile from where I was getting pictures of all those bucks. There's a trail camera from what I could see at the mouth of this cove, but I'm pretty far up in here. I didn't get anywhere near that. I just seen it from up on the hill. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go deeper up in this holler. So I went way up in here, and there's a lot of blowdown. There's a lot of trees. Didn't look like a ton of deer sign, but the deer sign that I did see was around scrapes, so I'm thinking bucks at least are coming through, but I'm thinking they lived here and they just took a break when they was chasing those does. But I just seen a buck here yesterday morning after a complete dry sit all the way over there. I seen a pretty nice buck, looked like a 2 or 3 year old 10-pointer. He came in here, so we'll see. With everything going on, maybe we'll get lucky and there'll be a buck cruising this holler. Hopefully. Nothing's really giving me any confidence anymore. Everything I've tried's been bust after bust, so we got 3 hours. Let's see what we can make happen. Well, it's raining, so that's fun. I don't like getting my cameras wet. I don't really have the money to replace them. But, not looking real good for the evening. Weather's a little crappy anyways, but I've got to cut it short. I've got to leave here. I've probably got to start unpacking at about 5. I got to be up at the top of the road at 5:30. I got dropped off because we figured she would need the car to take one of the kids to their band recital or whatever it's called. And, we found out that it starts right at the time that I plan to be picked up. So that backfired. But it is what it is. I don't have a good heading on where these deer are at anyways, so it was just a throwaway hunt trying to find them. Probably my last one on public for at least a week. I'm gonna bail on the idea of killing this buck. Just because nothing's working out. I mean, nothing at all. I'm just gonna bail. Hopefully he don't get killed the first part of gun. Hopefully it pushes him back to where he was. I had no human sign in there, so if I'm lucky he won't get killed. He'll get pushed in there and maybe I can get back on him, but I've got 1 buck that I've been hunting. Not much, I just put 1 or 2 sits on him, but that's the buck I'm going to be aiming for, opening day of gun. Private land this time. I'll be with Tiffany because there's several other nice bucks in there, bigger than she's ever killed, so whether or not anything happens tomorrow, I don't know, but Saturday, I'm pretty confident she'll kill 1. Maybe both of us, but we'll see. Like I said, there's really not much sign that anything's happening in here. But as my cameras are kind of getting wet from this heavy mist, I'll probably be bailing here in just a minute. I don't have a whole lot longer, but yeah, so this may be the last I'm talking to you until tomorrow or the gun season opener. So we'll see how it goes. Well, we're in gun season at this point. I have wore myself down trying everything I could to find that buck. I still have no sign of him. I decided I was going to get dropped off on another piece of public that all connects to where I was at, and I was just going to drift my way all the way to my camera so that I could check my SD card that way, but maybe find some better ground, maybe even run into him. The goal was just to get in, hopefully find no human sign, and find where these bucks are staying. 7:21 a.m. November 24th. I've had some bad weather that kind of prevented me from hunting a lot of my other spots. Really, not really hunting at all. And basically, I've been trying to get on this big public land buck who's been avoiding me pretty well. He's got on my cameras a lot, but he disappeared right before gun season, and I would have been alarmed, but all of the big ones disappeared, so I know they just moved to a different hot doe somewhere. There's a little bit of sign to my left where they crisscross that trail, or the trail I walked down. It's an old logging trail or something. Way back on the Hoosier National Forest. Never hunted this spot before. So, first time my feet have been on the ground around here. About 400 or 500 yards to my left is where I used to hunt. It's been some time, but got this camera on the tripod today. Usually it's not on a tripod, so we'll see how this goes. I can see 100 yards to my right, 80 to 100 to my left. I'm gonna give it a little bit, then I might rattle, might grunt, see what happens. I'm gonna fill this place out, work my way around, play in the wind, and at the end of the morning, if I'm lucky, hopefully I can get a buck. But I know of at least 2 big shooters here. One preferably is the one I want. Something on this hill. I don't know if it's a deer or a squirrel. Hard telling. But I'm gonna get settled in, spray some estrus. Hopefully something can happen. We'll see if we can pull this off. Public land's always been my thing, but it's gotten harder the last few years. This place looks relatively untouched, so let's hope this is where they're at. Well, I sat for almost an hour. I had no intentions of being in one spot for very long because I had intentions to move through a lot of land and I had a lot of ground to cover. So, didn't take me very long after seeing that little buck slip down the hill. After a rattling sequence, I had nothing else come through. It was time to move. Well, about 300 or 400 yards from where I sat, there's a scrape right here. I've heard 2 gunshots, maybe, I think it actually might have been 3, straight down this hill. We've hunted there many times, but it's hard telling if it's a buck or a doe that they're shooting at, but they don't sound like they're hitting it. There's rubs all down this line. Check this out. Got a rub right here. Little rub there. These ones are all broke off. That one's broke off and scarred. There's a real big one over there. There are deer here. I don't know if it's daylight or not. Yeah, this ground is tore up. I don't know if that's turkey or deer or squirrel, but the ground's tore up. Way back here on public. There are red oaks, white oaks, all over this place. It's gorgeous up here, but, you know, finding a big buck is still difficult. Let's go look at this big oak. This broke that branch. That's good. I doubt all this is just one deer. There's a bed right here. That could be a buck bed. Bedding up on a ridge like this where they can see everything. This rub's pretty decent. All of this is a guessing game, so I've got to quit being so indecisive. It's a relatively faint trail, but it's been walked. Deer sign all over, buck sign all over. Maybe we're getting close. This place is difficult to figure out. It's just so big. There's a doe track. Alright, so we got bucks and does. Yeah, it's just such a big property. Huge hills, lots of hollers, very steep. Pretty place, but, you know. Alright, I'm gonna get off this camera so I can watch what I'm doing. On this ridge, we are above most other ridges. Just don't know where I need to be. There's gotta be, some of these bucks have to be the same ones from the ridge I'm hunting, where I got the big one on camera. But I never get him in daylight, so he has to be coming from somewhere like this. Okay, we're gonna keep hiking. I just got down about 30 foot from the full bottom of this big ridge. There's a creek bottom. It's wide open down here. It's a little bit thicker to my left. I've explored a little bit to my left, and it was wasn't the greatest, but there was a couple scrapes. That was like 2-3 weeks ago. I'm gonna rattle. I've got the wind right now for the most part, unless they come down here and get me, but I'm gonna try to pull something up out of this bottom or down off the other ridges. If that don't work, I'm gonna end up going down to the right, just kind of scouting my way, looking for definitive buck sign. I'm still worried about those gunshots, because, I mean, could easily be the bucks I'm after, or one of them, or, you know. But that's public land for you. buck sign than I did way back there. So that may be a crossing point, which would make sense because where I sat this morning, I think if you follow that ridge right there and go up in there, oh, look at that. Yeah, you got that. Beautiful red-tailed hawk. There's a buzzard here too. It's trying to get low. Oh, it is getting low. It just landed. Maybe something dead up here. Alright, I'm going to ease up here and hopefully it's not what my mind is going to. Well, it's warm. At least it is when you're walking. It's probably around 45 degrees now. Pushing it at least. And I've probably walked, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles of hills and hollers. Hadn't seen a single deer since early this morning when I seen that little bitty buck. And basically, I was like, well, I've got to find some sign. So I was scouting my way to this holler where I get pictures of him. I ran into some buzzards and a coyote. Maybe 2 coyotes, I wasn't for sure. But I wasted some time trying to figure out what they were flying around. And I never found it. Well, fast forward a little bit. Walked for an hour or 2. Jumped 2 for sure does, maybe 3. There was 3 deer, but I couldn't tell what the 3rd one was. But it definitely didn't have a big rack, so if it was a buck, it wasn't a monster. Walk another 200 or 300 yards. I just jumped another one. Oh, there's a massive scrape right here. So, the bucks have definitely been back. Whether or not they've been to my scrape or not. Look at this thing. So yeah, very large scrape. 2 of them actually. There should be another scrape right up here. I had a camera on it, but the camera wasn't functioning. So I took it out. Didn't get rid of it. I was about to say I got rid of it. Took it out of this location. Well, after all that hiking, didn't see a whole lot of deer sign, to be honest with you. The spots I did, there was a cell cam, so I mean that is what it is, you know, it's hunting. But I am no better off figuring out how to hunt this buck. I don't know where he's coming from. All the videos are nighttime of him and the big 8. I don't think we have any daylight of the big 8. So both of them are coming from far enough away. Turkey sign in here that it's dark, which is a bummer, but I mean, what are you gonna do? You just gotta bump around till you find them, but there's too many people around here. I can't find a place to just leave a camera without thinking it's gonna get stolen. And then there's cell cams, so there's definitely people. Whether or not they ever walk in there or even hunt it, who knows? That's what I hate about cell cams. At least with a regular camera, you know those people have to get up. They have to walk to it. This scrape up here is clean too. Should have left a camera on it. Goes to show, man, it's way bigger too. So I had a camera on that tree over there. This big scrape right here. Man, it's clean too, like this morning or yesterday. That's partially good news. At least they've migrated already shed some layers, but when you're hiking this much, there's just no winning. Well, the good news is my stand's still there. So no one stole it in the beginning of gun season. I don't think anybody comes back here. I'm probably at least 4 ridges over from where I found that other camera, and probably 7 ridges from where I found another camera a week or 2 back. Both of them cell cams. Not necessarily the same people, but certainly worries you. Yeah, there's deer sign all through here. Now every time I've sat here, since the time Jack's had the does, there's another scrape. Every time I've sat here since that time, I've been skunked. Didn't see a deer. And it's a lot of work to have to get up earlier, load the canoe, drive, unload the canoe across, then hike back into the woods. Quite a bit of work, so starting to think I've been mostly out of the ball game because this place is full of scrapes again, and it was pretty dry. Like, I didn't have any of my big bucks. There's another scrape right here. Hopefully there's several. There's one. Yeah, see this place, it gets the bugs. It's just nighttime mostly. Let's hope this scrape's been worked. It's the most important one. It's one's got the camera on it. I see one scrape clean. Maybe both of them. Yeah. Good deal. Alright, well, I'm gonna freshen these up. This way. Something. Oh yeah, these have been. There's a big one here. Big one there. That's my camera. Keep the leaves out. That trail seems to be coming off of that hill. They've whomped this thing though. Alright. Well, I get home and I check the SD card, and that morning, while I was on, again, a different area of the property, a long ways from this section, the Big 8 daylighted, but he's the only big buck that was on that camera. Well, we're getting down to the end of season. I've got to get Tiffany tagged out. One way, shape, or form, we've got to get back out there. So we decide the 8-point daylighted, that's a great buck for her. We're going to get in there and try to get after that buck. Tiff and I decided to try this public land where I have this really big buck and then 3 other really nice bucks. The big buck's been a no-show since November 7th, so public land, maybe he got popped, but the other one daylighted the morning that I hiked through here, about 4 hours before I did, so we're here trying to get her on him. He's a big 8-point. We think he's the kid of Thor, the buck I killed back in 21, I think it was. And, yeah, we get here, we canoe across in the dark. We don't use lights because we're smart and brave. And this idiot behind us pulls in, loud as heck. Big truck, has some type of a boat or canoe or something. Obviously not a canoe, but something bigger with just the brightest damn LEDs. Lit up the entire valley. Took forever, and then his loud boat sounded like a V8 going across the lake. Then he turns and comes back in. I had shined him so that he knew where we were. And he still came and set up about 100 yards from my canoe. So, I may have to kick a duck hunter's ass today, because he learned how to YouTube duck hunt yesterday and decided to apply it all today. doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. It's really irritating. Yeah, they were shining their LEDs all the way up in our valley not 15 minutes ago. And I mean, you could see 15 minutes ago. This guy's just a big coward that shouldn't be on the lake. But if he doesn't ruin our hunt, we're gonna pretend today is opening day because our opening day sucked assholes. So, there's idiots out. That's what opening day is. We'll see if we can be the non-idiot and get lucky here. Got this whole bottom down here where I've had a lot of deer over the last couple years walk. There's a ton of scrapes in that bottom. I know they like to use this middle ridge here and then this far ridge in front of us. So hopefully today's the day and we can get a crack at one of them big boys. We got about, really we have the whole day, but it's supposed to rain, so we're gonna try to give it to at least have midday type sit. Hopefully we don't have to and we can tag out early. We'll see though. Yeah, we got pretty hot trying to get in here quietly and quick with no lights, and then this dude comes behind us and pretty much etch-a-sketched everything we did, but whatever. That's public land hunting. There's way too many stupid people, not enough smart people. I don't know what that was. Somebody just started their car, took off. But yeah, we're a good poke from cars, so that was a loud one too. But I feel like it's gonna be a good morning, so we're gonna sit back and see what happens.
It's a really tall tree.
Yep. Hoping that's him, but he just ran right down in here. Down to that beech tree. Don't move. There it is. Straight below us in those logs. It's right underneath the damn logs. I knew that was going to be a problem. Can't even tell what he is. He's moving too quick. He's behind this brush. Going to be real tight to this stuff. Just hold on. I don't know what it is yet. Yeah, he's a little six-pointer. He's going to walk right at us. Just hold real still. He's a little eight-pointer. Can't remember if it was an 8 or a 6. Need your daddy. Don't need you doing this. Well, after this little buck gets by, it wasn't too much longer. I look up the holler, and here comes some does. Just hold on. You see that curved tree way down there? About 50 yards. Look 50 yards past that curved tree, and you'll see them. One tree's really in my way for filming. You're good. Just hold still. There's at least two of them. I think they're does. Yeah, I can see them with my eyes, but I can't find them with the camera.
I can't see them all.
Coming right down the middle, right to us. Hoping there's a buck bush, and that'd be nice.
Are they both does?
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah.
Freaking bubbles.
Yeah. Oh, there's three of them.
I see them.
Yeah. It's a good day for deer movement.
Yeah, they're not looking so good anymore.
They're coming quick though. I don't know what's going on.
That other one ran from not over there.
They're trotting quick into here. Hopefully they don't come right at us, but I think they're gonna.
It's like the little buck did. Here they are.
west side. We can shake it off.
Oh my god.
It's a good morning so far.
How intense.
I know, right?
I don't think I've ever in my life said that still.
The GoPro was on the whole time.
I kept having to close my eyes and stuff.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. I thought for sure a buck was going to come behind them.
I wonder if there's another hunter over there. Is
Oh,
it kind of...
hey, there's a little buck.
What's little?
It's the same one from earlier.
Oh, he's gonna run at him.
Yep.
Come here, bitches. What idiot?
They're not a fan of him.
Say, get away, loser.
The good news is there's 4 deer in the area.
Oh, there's probably way more than that.
Yeah. He snuck in. I didn't hear him or see him. I just looked over. There he was.
No, because he was too busy sneaking on them.
He's about to run them right past us.
God dang it.
I can't believe they're still acting ready.
I know.
Those two haven't been any heat at all.
Those little ones.
Well, there was one button buck, there's a medium doe, and then there's a big doe.
Oh,
Those are the same ones that came in for Jack's.
no crap.
Yep, same exact ones.
There he goes. There's come back, ladies. I'm gonna show you my thing.
Maybe a big buck will find them, and they're probably about to come in heat, since they haven't yet. Yeah, he's kinda going right behind him on the third. He ain't gonna leave nothing alone.
We got full of eggs and antlers. I'm coming at you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same one that came past us earlier.
There he goes.
Little tweet. Cold kind of set in with this adrenaline rush we just got. I think mine was a little worse than hers, but that was awesome. Had we had our bow, she could have killed one, but Indiana has a dumb law where they've created a bunch of different ways to complicate things and for them to make money. It should be a buck tag and a doe tag, bought like that, and it just goes whatever season's in, crossbow, bow, gun, muzzleloader, however. Makes the most sense. But they're just about revenue generating, and that makes moments like this cool for us to sit here and watch. But she hasn't got to kill a doe this year, and she could have easily killed that big doe. That's the same one that blew at me and Jackson Caden like 40 freaking times. So yeah, she's one that needs to go. If you notice, the other two are completely calm. For the most part anyways. Sometimes they acted on what she was doing, but really they just followed her. Them big old does will cost you. But we'll chalk that up as we could have easily killed that one too. Hopefully a big one comes by, because this has been a pretty awesome morning.
Yeah. Pretty nimble.
And she took a whiz a couple times, and that little buck, he must have caught it. Turned around and he came back in here and chased them all around. Back up that hill. Haven't heard that guy shoot any, so that's good.
I don't even think he's there.
I don't know, we'd heard that motor start. That motor's so loud.
That is true. Very obnoxious.
But we got another 2 hours, so hopefully a big boy comes by soon. It's 11 o'clock. We heard one gunshot, for sure at least close enough to be some of the deer I've had on camera. We've heard someone target practicing, I'm assuming, pretty far back that way too. But we're gonna pack it up. We're gonna go up this hill, scout down the ridge, and then out to the canoe and slip out of here. But it's been a pretty good hunt. We didn't see any big ones, but who knows? Maybe if we're quick enough, we'll get to see whatever they're dragging out if they got theirs. Hopefully it's a doe. But we'll see what's going on here shortly. Got an SD card I want to check before we leave here though, so I gotta zip down this hill and back up. And then we are going straight up, so it's been fun, but Could have been just a little funner. All right, we'll see you later. So I'm a very spiritual man. I was raised religious, and I consciously moved away from that. I migrated in my own direction. I'm a natural-based man. I love nature to its core. I understand it more as an adult now. I had to unbrainwash myself from things that we're taught our entire lives and things that we're taught don't matter or don't work or is fiction. But I swear this happened. You can't even make this up. The whole morning I had this vibe, right? Like, one, we didn't kill the doe. Otherwise, we would have drugged the doe out to the canoe on. No big deal. If a buck would have came in, we would have killed this buck, drug it out on. No big deal. We would have been satisfied. Things worked in our favor. They didn't work like that. And for the first time, I had the urge to climb this super steep hill, scout all the way down it, scout down the hill, and scout down the other ridge back to the canoe. Pretty much an entire section of property I've never really spent time on. I've never dug into, never had the urge to. But this whole morning, I'm sitting on the hillside, and I've just got this urge, right? I've just got this urge that I need to work my way up this hill and scout for deer sign. Like, I'm thinking scout. Well, I'm also sitting there. We sat from 6:30 a.m. to 11 or 11:30, and at one point I literally dug my fingers in the ground, fingertips first, and I don't know, it was the weirdest vibe. I felt like I was speaking to the earth, as crazy as that sounds. I could hear it in the trees. I just could feel it in the vibe of like my being. So I knew, even though we just had a long cold sit, it was action-packed, it was awesome, but I was going to go scout up this hill. It was just in my path for the day. So I preached this to her. She's cool with it. We start hiking. So we're working down the top of this ridge. There's some deer sign, but not nearly as much as what we're really hoping for. As we start to get into it, we did jump a deer we never got to see, but we hit an acorn patch and some deer sign that kind of drifted down the corner of this hill into a valley where a bunch of other hills meet. So we go down this valley, find some pretty good deer trails, and we're like, all right, this is where we want to hunt next time. Maybe this is a spot, a place of interest that we at least need to put some time in and see what's going on. And just after that, we start hiking back down the trail, and it's a straight path from there all the way down this long ridge bottom, all the way down to the canoe. Well, about halfway down, we hit what looked like almost like when you gut a deer a couple days later, and the buzzards have cleaned it up. So we're like, what is this? There's like fragments of hair. There's little pieces of hair and skin that didn't make sense. It was like, well, when people gut stuff, they don't cut little pieces. They might cut, the nads off and toss them, or a chunk of the belly or what and toss it. They don't cut little tiny pieces and all that. So something was weird. So we're looking, we're nosing. I'm like, we really need to just take a minute, we'll look around, we'll see what's going on. Like, I still just have that vibe, that feeling that something ain't right. And I'm looking, I kind of go up this valley, and I see her. She's kind of speeding up. I think she was getting excited looking, and usually she don't run through the woods, so I'm watching her, and I'm not seeing any sign where I'm at, so I drift right back down to where we found the sign, and I'm staring, and I just seen her, and I'm looking, I'm like, where did she go? And right past where I just seen her, I see. There he is. Yeah, he's dead for sure. Man, that's him. Dang it. Dang it. Yeah, he died here or something. Dang it. That's the one I was hunting.
I'm so sorry, honey.
Well, we decided to scout our way up, down, and through this valley. we found a lot of sign, and we just found what looked like where a deer had died. And we couldn't tell if it was maybe a kill or EHD. It's starting to snow or rain, but we just started scouring through here. Tiffany just barely missed it. I looked over and I seen this antler. That's the buck I was hunting. He's been dead for a minute. That's why I ain't had him since the 7th.
Ooh,
That's what I was hunting.
ooh, he's nice. Holy cannoli.
Let's count him up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pointer. That stinks. Well,
Yep.
this ain't how we like it to happen. I'm way back on public. I can't imagine that it was a shot. This was at the beginning of rut when he disappeared. Could have been EHD, could have been anything, but I guess at least we get him, but I'm pretty sad. I was really hoping to get this guy with a bow, but at least we get him.
Yeah, you
He's
gotta
freaking huge. That's
maybe
what I thought he
take that
was.
home.
At least the big 8's still alive. Man. Alright. Twist this sucker off. We're gonna get out of here. It's about to start raining. I can't describe the feeling. It's just pain, you know, like a mental, it was a break. It was like I dedicated everything. I dedicated my time, my efforts. That was the buck I wanted. I wanted him with my bow, didn't get him. I wanted him with a gun, didn't get him. Nothing worked. But then everything led me to not killing anything that morning. She didn't kill anything that morning, so we ended up scouting in, and it just worked in a way that I don't think it could have worked. There's no, like, I don't usually go into this place and do this, but I ended up hiking in here. Sure enough, find this exact buck, and the story's over. I no longer am chasing this public land buck. A third of my season went into this deer. Now there's kind of this, it's not guilt, but I was just kind of heartbroken in a way. I'm not hunting this deer. He's dead. It's sad. It's sad that he died. We don't know how. It looks like maybe EHD, maybe he was wounded, maybe the rut got him. There's just no way to tell of an older buck deep in public like that of what really happened to him, but he's gone. So now my only thoughts are, besides the fact that I'm mourning the loss of this buck, now I've got to shuffle. Where am I going to find a big enough buck, a nice enough mature buck that I'm going to be satisfied with? Well, that's the story of the Public Land 16. Didn't end at all how I thought it would, how I wanted it to. But these are the things that happen in nature. They're the things that happen in hunting. You don't always get the buck. 9 times out of 10, you don't get the buck. I didn't want his story to end with me just finding him dead in the holler. I had all this build up all the way to the crash. I know y'all didn't think I was going to leave you like that. Here he is. The Public Land 16 pointer. I'll never get enough of this buck. It's the saddest thing knowing I've got him in my hands, but I didn't get him.